The people of Ottawa don't deserve to be harassed in their own neighborhoods. They don't deserve to be confronted with the inherent violence of a swastika flying on a street corner, or a Confederate flag, or the insults and jeers just because they're wearing a mask.
Well, for more on this, we're joined now by Robert Fife. He's Ottawa Bureau Chief for the Globe and Mail. Good to see you, Robert. What does Trudeau mean here? Is he sending the army in?
He will not send the army in. His father did send the army in during the FLQ crisis back in the 1970s, when Quebec politicians were kidnapped by, and a British consul general was kidnapped by Quebec radical Quebec separatists, and one of them was killed. But we will not see the army called in on this, because the police in this country have the ability to be able to, or should have the ability to be able to deal with these kind of situations. In a democracy, you do not want to see military forces on the ground dealing with civilian protest.
How does it get resolved, in your view?
Well, it's very complicated. In terms of the Ottawa situation, I think what they'll end up doing, and they've started to do this, the police deserve a lot of fault, because they took a long time to respond to this crisis. But they're now starting to issue very heavy tickets, and they're starting to arrest people. And I suspect they will begin to move in street by street and remove people over the next week or so. Far more concerning is the latest protest that we've seen at the Ambassador Bridge, which is the main conduit for the supplies of goods going across the American and Canadian border. This is very serious, because all of our food, all of the stuff that runs our auto industries on both sides of the border go across that bridge. And there's a similar situation in Coutts, Alberta, which is another very important highway linking the Alberta with the United States. And they've also have truckers at that. That is where this is going to be far more serious than the situation in Ottawa, which is obviously not very good. But if you start cutting off the economic lifeline to both countries, and I'm serious that is exactly what will happen, this is going to be very, very serious, and there's probably going to have to be very significant police presence to try to put an end to this.
Because everybody, I guess, whether you're in the food industry, whether you're in heavy engineering, everybody uses these just-in-time supply chains these days, don't they? And you'd see shortages pretty quickly.
You'd see it very quickly. I mean, our industries are, in the United States and Canada, we are intricately linked because of free trade. In particular in the auto industry, for example, where goods go back and forth right across the border several times before a vehicle is actually built. But more important, as you said, produce and food and just almost everything that you need to function in a modern society goes across that bridge on both sides of the border. So it's very, very serious. And we had a break today with a member of the Mr. Trudeau's caucus, who was the Quebec chair, came out and said, look, we've got to end these vaccination mandates because it's taking too much of a toll on Canadians who are also, many people who are also law-abiding, and they're now beginning to break the law. And the point here is that a lot of the people in the protests on Parliament Hill are white supremacists, are radical right-wingers, helped funded by the Trump Republican Party in the United States and promoted by Fox News and Breitbart and other places like that. But there is in this country, and I think probably around the world, a feeling that, we can't continue to keep locking people down because of the pandemic.
Robert Fife in Ottawa, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.